Sign up to the SBR Network and use your free daily bet points to earn real-world prizes. Click on the page and start winning now.
Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the Sweet 16 games with professional handicappers from the 2014 NCAA tournament. And right now we are talking with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, who's agreed to take 3 games that I assigned him, not at all necessarily his favorite games. He just takes whatever I ask him to take. Joe, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you, Peter. 5-1 with those wise guy plays so far. We got a big weekend in store.
Awesome. And for anyone who wants to find your opinions on the other games that we're not covering these videos, they can find them at OffshoreInsiders.com. Is that correct?
At OffshoreInsiders.com, I know I'm going to have a bare minimum of 2 wise guy plays. The research is not done, but I already have 2 wise guy plays up for the Sweet 16 at OffshoreInsiders.com.
All right, great. Well, thanks so much for taking these games that I asked you to take. And, these are kind of the games that no one else wanted to take because they're pretty tough. San Diego State and Arizona is the one we're going to discuss now. Arizona -6.5 or 7, total very low, of course, 121.5 or 122. And you look at this. I mean, this is the kind of game with such a low total. This is one of those games where like Arizona could conceivably get a comfortable win and still not get a cover of this spread. I mean, 7 points is a lot with that low of a total. And you look at how they got here. San Diego State needed overtime to get by New Mexico State, and then they really had an easy assignment with North Dakota State coming off their second tournament game. Arizona, though, they handled Weber State, and then they got a very impressive 20-plus point win over Gonzaga, who's obviously a quality team with a good defense. So, maybe Arizona does get a double-digit win here. My first thought is with such a low total, San Diego State has depth. Probably they're a better bet than not to stay within the number. But what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, you do bring up a very good point, and that's something that we take into consideration in every single sport, where you do want to look at what the point spread is relative to the total, because 6.5 does not always equal 6.5. 6.5 in a low-scoring game is a lot larger than it would be in a high-scoring game. So you do bring up an excellent point. But still, I really like the way that Arizona matches up here. San Diego State, first of all, we keep talking about we like to exploit teams that they're not quite as good as their straight-up record, or that they're much better than their straight-up record. And so in the case of San Diego State, they have 6 wins this year by 5 or less, and 16 of their wins were by single digits. So that tells me they've been pretty fortunate. They won a whole heck of a lot of games that they could have possibly lost. And again, I'll quote Ken Palm. I think it's one of the best sites out there for true handicappers. He has them rated as the 24th luckiest team in the country, which is the luckiest of any of the remaining teams. And also San Diego State in the adjusted offense. And the adjusted offense means points per 100 possessions. It's a lot better than the raw numbers where teams that are up-tempo are going to have a big advantage over the teams that like to play the half-court offense. I don't think it's perfect because I still think the up-tempo teams are going to get easier baskets, but they're also going to give up easier baskets. But it's a more accurate statistic than the raw numbers. But they don't really have that impressive an offense, 124th in the country in adjusted offense. And guess who has the number 1 adjusted defense? That would be Arizona. I just don't know how San Diego State's going to score. Xavier Thames is a heck of a player, but they don't have a lot of scoring depth. Sean Miller, heck of a coach, maybe one of the more underrated coaches in the country. I think he's going to find a way to stop San Diego State, which really has pretty much a one-man attack. Their defense has been tremendous all year. Don't know how San Diego State's going to score.
Yeah, I mean, if Arizona can beat Gonzaga by 23, is San Diego State that much more of a challenge than Gonzaga? Maybe less of a challenge than Gonzaga.
No. And in fact, in that Weber State game, they were blowing them out, and Weber State kind of made it fairly close at the end. So you could argue that in reality, Arizona, their first game was much more impressive than the final score indicated. Now, I don't think San Diego State really has enough firepower. And the truth is they also have the 97th strength of schedule, which is the second worst left. And not surprisingly, the deeper you go into the tournament, the more important the strength of schedule is, because you got to be used to winning tough games back to back to back. I know there's a little bit of rest, only a few days rest between the first pod. So it's very difficult the deeper you go in the tournament when you didn't have a tough strength of schedule. You're not as experienced at winning those big games back to back to back the way Arizona certainly did.
All right, you made a very strong case. So your pick on this one would be Arizona -6.5?
Yes, yes. It's going to be a little tougher without Brandon Ashley, but they've adjusted without him. So, yeah, I do think Arizona's defense is going to shut down San Diego State. Maybe as low as the total is, maybe the under would be a good play. But for the purpose of this video, I will say Arizona is the play.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona definitely impressed after the injury, and they had like a speed bump for about a game and a half, and then they picked up right where they left off, getting, margin wins and covers of these kinds of spreads against good teams. All right, Arizona -6.5 it is. Thanks so much, Joe.